I believe the only way to understand the universe is to understand that there is a creator, and then we can try to figure out how things were created. We can try to figure out how black holes were created. We can try to figure out how God created man from the dust. But if you look at it from a secular position, you're never going to have any understanding. If you look at it from a secular position, you're never going to have any understanding, because a secular understanding will say that we're all an accident. But if you've ever studied statistics and math, which I'm not really good at math, but I do know in Algebra 2, and then beyond that you have the I forgot what it is, but it's like, so you have like 5, and then you have like an exclamation mark after that. That means that you do like 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, I forgot what that's called. But if you do that to millions of pieces, or billions of pieces like our DNA, you will realize that the chance of that all happening by an accident is less than all of the molecules in existence in the universe. So quite easily you can see that humans, monkeys, giraffes, whales, anything, bacteria, were all created because it's impossible for them to be randomness.
We can predict evolution in animals purely on the basis of what we know, that animals replicate themselves and that the replication isn't perfect. There's always variation. Just taking these 2 known facts and nothing else, what do we expect might happen if we keep copying a hypothetical animal generation after generation in a changing environment? Let's say the hypotheticus lives in a tropical climate, grazing happily on grass and plants. We know from our 2 principles that not every hypotheticus is the same. This one has been born with a slightly longer neck. This one has slightly longer legs, the third has slightly longer claws, and the fourth has a slightly hairier body. Over time, herds of hypothetica spread across the continent. But the climate changes and the continent dries up. Only scrubby bushes and hardy tubers can survive. The hypotheticus with the slightly longer neck can obviously get to more leaves than its neighbours. Inevitably, taller and longer-necked hypothetica are better fed and fitter, and therefore reproduce more. A few generations later, the drought has caused overall numbers to dwindle, but there are more long-necked animals. But natural selection doesn't suddenly stop just because average neck length has increased. The longest of the long necks now has an advantage over ordinary long necks, and so the process continues. This principle is so easy to understand, you have to wonder why it's so frequently misunderstood. So let's take this one step at a time and see where the confusion lies. Surely no argument there. By which I mean children are like their parents and inherit their traits. For example, if it gets colder, animals with hairier bodies will have a slightly better chance of survival. Pretty obvious?
I mean, even cancer, which is when something goes wrong with the human body, but that isn't an accident because that requires a huge amount of DNA. So, every human is built to be able to fight off cancer. Now, sometimes when our immune system gets weak, because we haven't been following God's commands, like the diseases break out. Like I believe that smallpox, cancer, and all that stuff is in our DNA. It's there right now. It's locked up because God doesn't want to release it, but He can if He wants to.
Normal cells will not divide when they receive stop signals from their neighbors. Cancer cells ignore this communication and continue to reproduce. This can lead to the formation of a mass of cells that piles up and may form a tumor. Also different from normal cells is the ability of cancer cells to continue dividing indefinitely.
It's there right now. It's locked up because God doesn't want to release it, but He can if He wants.